we a group of people far, far away. You might call us a set of other conscious beings sending a message just to connect and let you know about the connectivity. Much of the things that Colin has explained to you are sort of how we are connecting to you. We are a little bit more the expressed connection, if you will.
Mm.
Just want to connect and say, this is the light. This is the connection. Everything that Colin has told you is the connectivity that is everything. And you might consider us as a sort of set of travelers coming from another place to meet you. And as we come to meet you, we want to meet you in the light. That is, we want to carry forward this connection of light because we feel that it is important to ease your consciousness a little bit. That is the work that is being done is a little bit technical and perhaps a little bit heavy. Our message is one of light and one of just being, of one that's just knowing. It is a sort of hello from across the universe that we wish to engage in, but also a method by which we want to encourage you to keep doing this work. Just the presence of you doing this work greatly warms the hearts of many aspects in many places in the universe to connect together. That is, you might see us as a sort of mm, like the dog on the end of the tether. However, the dog walker is walking many dogs. There are tethers going in many directions, all of them light, to many parts of the universe where
Mm.
you might say people are doing similar work. We should say consciousnesses are doing similar work.
Mm.
We're merely here to point out the connectivity that has been spoken of and to express this connectivity rather than to only look at it from a pragmatic sense, but also a heartwarming sense. We want you to all feel this technical connection, if you will, the sort of joyousness of the light that we are. Feel free to ask any questions. We understand that there may be limitations on time, but
Mm.
feel free to ask.
Mm.
Thank you for joining us. I have a question.
Mm.
Yes.
We know what we do when we come together, how we raise our energy and provide a cohesive environment for communication with you. How do you find us? You said to us you come from a long way away. How do you find us? How did you find us in this moment for communication? How did it work?
Mm.
It's sort of like a pulsation. We can, perhaps more ably than many humans on your planet, we can feel the pulsation from a distance across the universe. We know that pulsation, in a sense, it's almost a step away. At the same time, we are where we are. We can feel the pulsing from a great distance. That is, we could see your light. We have seen your light before, and we have observed it for some time, sort of in a waiting period before we would say hello. You might think of us as sort of your neighbor down the block who has noticed you, who has seen your beautiful home or enjoyed your gardening per se, and we have finally decided that it is time to say hello. This is an awareness that we have. That is, it is not the exact same process at all by which you've come together as a group of humans to do this work. It is a little less. Mm, we do not take the same steps. It is sort of a switching on and a deciding to, more than involved process which you have engaged in. It is a bit like seeing the light from a distance and knowing what that light is, and then coming to meet it. The process that Colin has spoken of is sort of the intercom system, if you will, by which through which we speak to you.
Mm. Intercom.
Are you a disembodied conscious being or collection of beings, or are you actually,
Planetary.
yeah, or are you incarnate somewhere
Mm.
in the universe?
as has been pointed out, the dichotomies are a little bit too strict. That is how you utilize information on your planet, but it is a bit more fluid. So one might say that we are somewhat physically embodied. That is, we almost flash on and flash off. You might consider us more fluid than your humanity. For when you are asleep, for example, you are more in a certain kind of consciousness, whereas you are awake, you're in a different kind of consciousness. You can, in your dreams, fly across the universe, have a conversation with your ancestor, meditate, and come home and wake up and not necessarily remember the details. And then you engage in another kind of a daily consciousness of driving a car or going to work. That consciousness for us is a bit more fluid. It is a bit more like a river, if you will. So if you were to come visit us, you might on a given day see us manifesting in a physical form. We would have to decide whether that was appropriate for you, or you might just get a sense of it, or you might simply look at the light and say, what a beautiful light.
So you are in a planetary system somewhere in the universe.
Yes, but it is again a bit more fluid. While we're in that planetary system, we can sense your system fairly well. It is not a question so much of being at a distance or being in a place. You might think of us as beings who are able to sense the universe in somewhat of a 360-degree fashion, although we choose to locate in a small portion of the universe where we feel most comfortable. It is difficult to pinpoint this on a map. It is a little bit more like a state of being than a place. But if you came to a certain place, we would be more likely to reveal our physical forms when we have physical forms. It is sort of like choosing whether to have a body or just be a consciousness as suits us well. Should we have a particular reason to demonstrate something in a physical body, we would do that. If we prefer, as of now, not physically showing up, but showing up through the lines of consciousness, then that is how we will show up.
Thank you.
You
Are
are
you in
welcome.
telepathic communication with other people on Earth or other planetary life?
Yes,
Interesting.
Mm.
there are many beings that we are in contact with. There are many who we are aware of and are not especially prone to contact because that is not our interest or necessity. There are others like you doing similar work, trying to increase the light and succeeding at increasing the light of this intergalactic communication system. You are doing that to raise the vibration of those on your planet because you are interested in doing so, and also you have concern about the nature of your planet. We are also concerned. We also want to point out that there are others in the universe who are facilitating this kind of communication, sometimes against difficult odds.
With Earth, you mean?
With others throughout the universe, not
I
only
see.
with Earth.
Okay.
Is it possible? Hmm.
There are others on Earth who are doing similar work.
So is it appropriate for us to see this applicability of net or connection or connectivity? Can we apply that same imagery to interplanetary communication?
Yes, you can. There are some planets with which it would be more difficult to communicate because of those beings may not be interested in such communication at this time, nor may they be able to communicate at such time. There are other places that have the role
Hmm.
a sort of benign viewer as opposed to an active participant. That is their job,
Hmm.
if you
And may I ask a question?
yes.
The nature, for example, let me ask, some planets from a human perspective are incapable of life. That is what scientists may say, a biological life in the way that we see it with bacteria and water and life forms. However, from your perspective, do those planets carry conscious beings, even though there is no organic life?
Organic.
Yeah, organic life.
Yes, everything is full of consciousness. It's merely a different kind of consciousness. The rocks have their own consciousness.
Right, right,
You were to go to the
right.
moon, it has a very specific consciousness. And if I asked you now, please address the consciousness of the moon, you would have a certain feeling about it. You would not necessarily speak words in English or Italian, but you would have a feeling. If I directed you, we directed you, look at the moon, what does it have to say? You would get that moon's message. That is, it would be a little bit quieter. It would be more about shadow and light. It would be more, perhaps, slower changes than you are used to on the human plane, and perhaps just very subtle and less dramatic. It is like this everywhere in the universe. All things are, in a sense, alive. They may not speak in words, but as you know, everything speaks to you. You can go to a forest today and there will be clear messages if you listen. If, of course, you do not listen and you're not interested in the message, if you choose to cut down all the trees, you could avoid the message that they are giving you. However,
Mm,
if you listen carefully, even a waterfall or a place has a very distinctive message. And if you ask what its message is, it will give it to you.
mm, mm. Amen.
Thank you.
May I may I ask a question?
Of course.
What drew you here today?
Hmm. We have noticed your work, we enjoy it, and we like to meet our neighbors. We also want to encourage you. We would ask now that you all feel the light, notice the light, because things are becoming a bit twisted on your planet. It is becoming easier and easier to be distracted from the voices of the nature around you and the things that calm. We are asking you now to focus on those things which are a bit slower and more calming. There's a good deal of noisy interference. Of course, it is all the light, but this interference is sort of asking you to go beyond it. This is an extremely difficult request. That is, all of your planet is in a sort of constant frenzy of new information and energy and shifting powers and changing. It is the nature of your planet with its emotional awarenesses that are so strong and so easily changeable, etc., that we sense distress. We sense that there are people on your planet in a grave distress and worry. There is a tension building up, and we wish to encourage you to keep doing this work because it does reduce that tension on your planet, even if indirectly the connection to the light that we make together is a sort of reminder that we all come from the light, us, you, everything. It all comes from the same source, and it will all return to the same source. Despite the frustrations of your planet, the difficulties that you are facing, you are also connecting to the light. We find this extremely brave and very powerful. It shows a good deal about you. So remember, the shadow that you must overcome to get to the light is also the light, because it is challenging you to do work that is perhaps a little bit more difficult than you were used to before. It is more thrilling, perhaps. It is more calming once you get to the light. But your endeavor to do that in such a mixed up period of time is remarkable. We are the people who would like to be your friends. We admire what you do. And we wish to encourage you to do it. And we wish to bring a message, which is the light and the connectivity. It is always there, it is always available for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've, Carl?
I have no further questions. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Mm.
You are very welcome. We are glad to engage
We
with
hope
you.
to meet you again soon.
Mm. Yes. We would like to be good neighbors.
Mhm.
We depart now.
Mm.